What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. This is our NFL Week 7 betting preview. Sides, totals, props, moneyline dogs, touchdowns, and of course, our Sunday six-pack with the help of my co-host, the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuck. How you feeling heading into Week 7?
Middle of the grind, man. It's that time of the year, just trying to find as many winners as possible. Helps coming off a good week, 10-3 week, good week for the six pack. So, but who cares? We're on to this week to try to find some winners. It was fun to get the anytime touchdown parlay with uh, McBride came through, and then we just needed Genty,
Yep.
and he came through in the late slate, so that was fun. But hopefully we can run that back this week. But let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, we'll do our moneyline dog parlay, our touchdown parlay after the total in the six. But we'll start with the six pack. Of course, Stuck, you're up 22-15. You're staying hot, so I'm not cutting into your lead, even though I've had a few, 2-1 tight weeks in a row. So good stuff there. I'm up first for Week 7, and with my first pick of the Week 7 Sunday six pack, I am going with the New York Jets plus 1.5 at home against the Carolina Panthers. And I mean,
You can't quit this team.
if you thought that pick last week was disgusting, this might arguably be even worse. But I will say I have been betting the Panthers too, so you can kind of think of it like that, a fade of the Panthers. But when you look at this matchup, so a couple of things. First of all, mentioned last week, Panthers, much different team at home than on the road. You just look at Bryce Young's career performance against the spread at home, 10-6-1. Barely covers, though. Average cover margin is just 1.1. He's only been favored once at home in his career, Bryce Young, and he lost that by 18.5 points on the spread. He's never been favored on the road in his career. He's 5-11 against the spread, 31%. Failing to cover by over one possession per game, a minus 8.6 margin. This will be the first time, the second time he's favored in his career, the first time on the road. He's never been even a dog by a field goal or less on the road until now. So this is a big jump coming off 2 wins against the 2 worst defenses in the league. And you look at Rico Dowdle. He's been a revelation, sure, absolutely. Still don't understand why Dallas let him go exactly, but he shredded the Dolphins in Week 5. They were second worst defense in the league in EPA per play. Coming into that game, still second worst. Cowboys, the next week, coming into that game, worst defense in the league. Still the worst defense in the league now. So this Jet defense, it hasn't been great all year, but they have played a tough schedule, and their metrics are a lot better when you remove turnovers because they're not forcing any. They've had terrible turnover luck. You finally saw that start to change a little bit early in last week's game, and that probably made a difference, all things considered, because that was just a slog of a game. But no one wants to buy in on this Jet team that had negative 10 yards passing. But I think that they can play another one of these games where Carolina is not going to be as successful on offense. I don't think their run game is going to be as successful. And, we've seen Justin Fields do this Jekyll and Hyde thing. And we're starting to hear whispers about Tyrod. I don't mind if they go to Tyrod. Tyrod's success rate in his lone start, now granted, it was against the Bucs, but was sky high. The Panthers defense, I'm still not completely sold. I do think they have made some legit improvements, but mostly I just think their offense, night and day, home and away. And it's Jets defense, top 7 against outside zone runs. That's what, Rico Dowdle has been the most efficient. He's averaging 11.5 yards per carry on outside zone. The Jets are giving up 3.3. That's top 5. And they're giving up 0.8 yards before contact, which is also top 5. And then Dowdle's most used run concept, it's been, man duo concepts, about 40% of his runs, and the Jets defense top 8 against those as well. So I think the Jets are going to be able to stop the run here. I want Bryce Young to put it up in the air. Ted McMillan, this could be potentially his worst game. Looking at that for Sutton coming into that Denver game, and it played out exactly how I thought. Same thing with Garrett Wilson on the other side. But he ended up getting hurt, and that's going to hurt for the Jets, obviously. But Wilson would likely be locked up in this one anyway. So I just think that this Jet team is getting underrated here. I have them. It's about a tiny favorite, actually. I'm not upgrading the Panthers that much on the road for beating the two worst defenses in the league. Going down 17-0 to the Dolphins. I just have to see a lot more. I think the time to kind of get on to them was the last 2 weeks. The time to hop off is now. I'm going to stay on the Jets, baby. So give me the Jets for my first pick.
Out of all the teams, I mean, this is an ugly slate. You could have led the show off with you had to go with the Jets
Yep.
with
Yep.
no Garrett
Yes.
Wilson. I don't know how
Yep.
they moved the ball. It was my
Yeah, you said that last week. I don't know either.
and they didn't. But now they got to win though. Pretty much the cover is the problem.
Yes, it's the Panthers. It's literally a guy who's never been a favorite in his life on the road is 5 points better than he's ever been because his best spread has been +3.5. And by the way, Bryce Young as a road dog by less than a touchdown, 2-7 against the spread. So this is just.
I'll join you if it's Justin Fields. I mean, if it's Tyrod Taylor, my guy.
Freudian slip.
All right, so. I mean, I just don't know how they can't even complete a pass with Garrett Wilson.
Have you forgotten who the Panthers are when this? I don't think the Panthers are going to be the Panthers of the last 2 weeks either. I mean, the Jets held the Broncos.
I don't know. I'm not saying the Panthers are great. I'm saying the
do.
Jets. Also, the Jets are so poorly coached. Like the penalties, the explosive plays, the end of half sequences, the game management. Maybe I'll join you. I'm not against you, but as of right now,
they should have won that game. It should have been 14-13 if they get their shit together at the end of the half.
All right. For my first pick in the second overall of the Week 7 Sunday six-pack, you went with Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, potentially. I'm going with the team who I don't even know who the quarterback's going to be, and the Minnesota Vikings. +2, I think, is the best out there. Doesn't matter for the contest, but get 2 +1.5 at DraftKings.
I thought you were going to say it doesn't matter for the Vikings. Just put a quarterback out there. We'll beat these.
+1.5 at home at DraftKings at hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Surface stuff here. Coming off a bye with an elite staff, one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Their offensive line also should be pretty much close to full strength. Their center, Kelly's still on IR, but their backup was back in practice yesterday. Brian O'Neill was back in practice. Jackson looks like he's going to go left guard. So they're going to have their full complement of weapons, the offensive line. Their backup center was back, as I mentioned. So this team looks very healthy. Maybe you get Van Ginkel back. Not sure. I think he's more likely not to go than go, but it looks like Blake Cashman's going to be back. That'll help with the run defense. And on the Eagles side, Jalen Carter banged up. Their offensive line banged up. And most importantly, it looks like Quinyon Mitchell's going to miss. And what does that mean? I mean, that means Ringo and Adoree Jackson are going to be starting at corner against these receivers. I don't care who's in at quarterback. I actually have Carson Wentz rated higher than McCarthy. It's not much, but there's more variance with McCarthy. Like maybe McCarthy has a higher upside, and maybe like after the bye and he was hurt earlier. But Wentz hasn't been bad. He's been like 11th in success rate, 11th in adjusted EPA per play, 11th in completion percentage, plus EPA. So like it's not been terrible for Wentz. But the thing here is that I really like is this matchup for the Minnesota defense. I mean, if you look, this Philly team they're not a good football team right now. I mean, they just got dominated by the Giants. A pure luck win against the Rams. They really should be like 2-4, 3. I mean, you lose at home to Bo Nix, up 2 possessions. Every single week, there's a whole half where they cannot score. And what can they not do under this offensive coordinator who is a disaster, Kevin Petula? They cannot move the ball. They can't even complete a pass against zone or against blitz. I mean, if you look against zone, they're minus -0.18 EPA per play. Average was positive +0.15 EPA per play over the previous 3 offensive coordinators. It was even positive with Brian Johnson, although it was an issue with Brian Johnson. Versus the blitz, minus -0.42 EPA per play. About -0.15 EPA per average over the last 3 offensive coordinators. It was even positive with Brian Johnson. Now, it was way less positive with Brian Johnson, but than it was with Steichen and Moore. But this is a Brian Johnson problem magnified. And guess what? Blitz can't move the ball against the blitz. Can't move the ball against zone. Well, guess what? You're playing the Vikings. They blitz top five rate. It's Brian Flores, and they play as much zone as anyone in the league. So, and then you can even take it one step further. This is a team. Jalen Hurts has been horrendous against cover two specifically. Let me pull up the numbers here. Cover two specifically, he is 35% success rate, minus 0.25 EPA per play. 35% success rate is a poverty level success rate. That's dead last among all current quarterbacks. Vikings play the most cover two in the league. So this Eagles offense has a bad matchup. They already lead the league in 3-and-out rate. This team has a negative point differential on the year. Saquon Barkley's being contacted behind the line of scrimmage on 36% of his carries. That's the second most in the league. Highest of his career. It was under 25% last year. And then on the other side, this Eagles defense, it's just not elite anymore, and they have injuries. So that their defense is 19th in EPA per play, 19th in success rate. They have an average pressure rate, and now you're going to be missing you most likely going to be missing your top corner, your top interior defensive lineman, and Jalen Carter is banged up. Your safeties aren't great. The pressure isn't great off the edge. What is there really to like? So yeah, I think the Vikings, regardless of who's at quarterback, get this done at home. And one of these days, they're going to actually call the tush push right, and it's going to cost the Eagles 4 points. Hopefully, it's this week. Give me the Vikings plus 1.5 at home.
Yeah, I just can't. I don't think I'm going to bet the Eagles at all this year. I don't know. Like it seems exactly like that 2023 season where you could just kind of see it coming with them, and it's not just like last year. Remember when it was, oh well, they can't really throw the ball, they're just running too much, they're relying on Saquon, and then like the next week they go out against Pittsburgh and Jalen Hurts does his thing, and like they don't have that switch this year at all. So, and the fact that guys are injured, the fact that Saquon is has not been giving them the same explosiveness, I think regardless of the offensive line, yeah, I think they have big problems. And I don't know, AJ Brown, he doesn't look like the same guy beyond the Hurts issues either. So there's just
no one looks like they're having fun. The whole lot. They need a bye week, and then maybe they'll figure things out. But I mean, the market still is, I think, just continues to value this team. Yes, they've covered 3 games. They covered the Rams on the most miraculous cover in the NFL in the last 30 years. They were down 20 at home in that game. They covered against the Chiefs because Travis Kelce dropped the pass at the 1 that turned into an interception. And then the only other game they covered was against the Bucks, and they almost blew that game against all the Bucks backups. Blew the game against the Broncos, get blown out against the Giants. I want no part of this team. I've faded them all year. I'll continue to fade them until further notice. So give me the Vikings. Skull.
I like it. All right, for my second pick, the third overall of the Week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm going to roll with the New Orleans Saints plus 5.5, still out there against the Chicago Bears, who did come through with a cover on Monday night, but I think this is a good spot to fade them. Now they're starting to talk, they're getting all mad at the public commentators just because they're on a little win streak and riding high, facing this 1-win Saints team. Yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit overconfident in this spot. It's a shorter week, still a new coaching staff. There's some familiarity there on both sides with Dennis Allen, but more importantly, a couple of things with the Bears and the Saints. Now, Spencer Rattler, a couple of weeks ago, I remember saying like, yeah, this guy's just turning the ball over. Like he turns the ball over too much. He's never won, but he's gotten a lot better in these last 3 weeks, I would say, especially. And I think the Saints are doing some smart things on offense, which you figured they would under Kellen Moore. One thing that's going to be key here is I think they're cutting back on Brandon Cooks' snaps. This guy does not have a target versus like catch versus man coverage this year, basically. So he's been really struggling out there, and that's kind of hurting Rattler in his efficiency against man, which the Bears do like to play at one of the higher rates in the league. So I think that's important here. But Rattler has been cutting down on his turnovers, and he's 11th in PFF grade among all quarterbacks for the entire season now. And if you look at just first couple of weeks of the first 3 weeks of the season, he had 4 big time throws, 8 turnover worthy throws. In the last 3 weeks, he's had 5 big time throws, 1 turnover worthy throw. And that was back in week 4. So last 2 weeks, he's thrown about 57 times, nothing graded as turnover worthy. The yards per attempt is ticking up. Everything is kind of rounded into shape a little bit more. And, the Saints offense, they get back Taysom Hill. That adds an element. Shaheed with Chris Olave, and then you take Cook out of that and put like a Vele or another tight end. Remember, they also got Moreau back. So I think the offense is trending up. And then the defense, this is not a terrible defense. It's not great, but they do get pressure at a higher rate than you would think. I think they're 10th in pressure rate at PFR with at 22.3%. And that's important because Caleb Williams has kind of lucked out at times, I think, this year. Yes, they're going to improve as the year progresses too, but I think the same is true for the Saints offense, given the fact that, it's an offensive-minded coach in Kellen Moore, and Caleb Williams' numbers versus pressure are just, oh man, like let me pull these up because I believe it's 4 point something. Let's see. Where is it?
Yeah, he's getting better. He's cut his sack rate in half, which is impressive, but his off-target rate is still way too high.
From a clean pocket as well. And that's the issue. So against pressure, 4.8 yards per attempt, which is obviously not good. But, from a clean pocket, he's a lot better, but still, I think too many turnover worthy throws. Accuracy percentage kind of decent, and the Saints aren't giving as many clean pockets as you would think. Again, they're up their pressure rate, and they don't have to. They're not blitzing at a high rate either. They're blitzing at kind of a normal rate, which a lot of times when you get these teams, certain teams that you think they're terrible, and then they're just blitzing a lot, like the Jets or the Dolphins, I should say. Caleb Williams, when blitz, 6 touchdowns, no picks, but when he's just under pressure, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. 3 turnover worthy throws, 4.8 yards an attempt. When he's blitzed, 6-0 touchdown to int ratio, 8.5 yards an attempt. So I think the Saints have a recipe to stay close here. It's also the top side in our luck rankings, and it's a B grade, which is one of the higher back tested cover percentages. I believe it's over 57% over the last 5 years. So like this for a number of reasons, but really, I think it's time to fade the Bears. They're on a little winning streak. They beat the Raiders by a point. They needed a special teams play late in that game.
They went back-to-back games, 25-24.
Yeah, when does that happen? And coming out of a bye against poverty Commanders. Yeah.
One other time in NFL history, teams won by 1 by any score, the same score by 1 in back-to-back weeks. It happened with in the 30s or something.
So that's crazy because we've also had those back-to-back weeks, or no, it was in the same week. 2 different players with the let the ball go before they score a touchdown, or it was 2 back-to-back weeks, right? It was yeah. So it's been a crazy year. But any thoughts on the Saints?
I don't mind it. The Saints are nothing there.
All right, Stuck, we'll get to your second pick in the 4th overall in a minute. But before we move on, there's a quick and easy way for you to tail us. First, you just sign up for Action Pro, and you'll get instant notifications when any Action expert tracks a bet, whether that's me, Stuckey, my guy Brandon Anderson. You want to get those right away because the lines do move. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team, plus a ton of other benefits as well. So just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets, the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. The rest of our Sunday Six Pack is coming up, but first I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor. The Action Network podcast is sponsored by DraftKings, and in partnership with DraftKings, we'd like to tell you that the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's right. New customers turn $5 into $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. To get started, use promo code Action Network when signing up. Once more, use Action Network when signing up with DraftKings to get on board. The crown is yours.
All right, for my second pick in the fourth overall, the week 7 Sunday six pack, I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers minus 1.5 at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, on the surface, just throwing this out there, this is the second time that Indianapolis will play in the stadium, and it's not a great home field advantage, but I really do like the spot. I'm taking a little leap of faith in how I think the injuries are going to play out. But number one, there's a lot of regression coming, I think, to both of these teams. One positive, one negative. I mean, the Colts have been really lucky. They've been pretty lucky when it comes to like fourth downs, fumbles, turnover margin, field goals there and their opponents. The Chargers are on the opposite end of the spectrum, but a lot of those. They have a 35% red zone touchdown percentage. That's anemic. I mean, the Titans, yeah, that would make sense that the Titans. There's only been one team in the past 5 years that finished with a red zone touchdown percentage under 40%. We've seen some bad offenses. Of course, it was a Jets offense from a couple years ago.
Oh man, of course.
But I think this is the time to fade. I mean, I faded the Colts last week. I think they've reached the peak of their market. They have wins. Their wins this year are over Knicks, Brissett, Ward, Geno Smith, and Tua. You can argue five of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. They're now, but most importantly, I think I'm projecting that they're probably going to be down three starting corners again this week. Because I doubt Javarius Ward plays. He had a concussion and it was a bad one, and it wasn't his first, and it happened on a Sunday right before the game. I think he's more likely to not to play. He's more likely to not play than to play. Kenny Moore, nickel. And by the way, those are two, Moore and Ward. Ward's been the best man coverage corner in the entire league this year. But Moore and Ward, they're both top 10 PFF grades. You look at coverage, like they have been elite all season. Maybe he's back this week, but he hasn't practiced in weeks, and he's dealing with an Achilles injury, and they're 5-1. So I think he's more likely to sit also. That means you're down to an unrestricted free agent, Mekhi Blackman. I didn't even know he was in the league anymore until recently, and Chris Lamons. Like, that's your corner group. The linebackers are also not great in coverage. It's not a super elite pressure team. So I know that Los Angeles' offensive line is a mess, but they could be healthier this week. There's a chance they should get Johnson back as well. I think I'm going to trust Justin Herbert here. There's two other small edges in this game. The kickers. I have the most accurate kicker in NFL history. The Colts have a failed ex-Chargers kicker in the Money Badger because their kicker is hurt. Daniel Jones, mistakes are coming. I went back and watched a lot of Daniel Jones this week. Said, okay, what am I missing? Looks a lot better. It's not taking sacks. The offensive line's obviously way better. The play calling's better. Wide receivers are better. His running game's better. But first of all, he has his turnover-worthy play percentage is about 2.5% higher than Justin Herbert's. There's that Freudian slip again. Maybe I do have to bet the Jets. So there's a huge disparity in turnover-worthy play rate, but he is not seeing safeties multiple times a game. The interceptions are coming. The Colts will probably have success running the ball here in this matchup, but the Chargers are going to make them work it down the field. The Jones mistakes are coming. So just two small edges there. There's some regression. The kickers, the turnovers, I think are going to favor Indianapolis. And I think from an injury perspective, the Chargers have a better chance, I think, of getting healthier at the key positions than I think the Colts do. So I think his price is cheap. Give me the Chargers at home.
Got a crazy stat for you because I figured you were going there with Daniel Jones and just how he's seeing the field. Because I noticed it as well. I don't think he's getting through progressions as well as people might think, given, he spent that year, a few months with Minnesota, and now he's over here in a good offense. Last 2 weeks, Daniel Jones has thrown to his first read 43 times. He's thrown to his second read once. And Daniel Jones is already coming in. Insane, bro. So yeah, when you talk about regression is coming and people aren't convinced, just throw that out there. Because that's something that it's more tape comes out and you watch these last 2 weeks, and
you got one of the better defensive coordinators in the NFL.
Yeah. That is how regression happens. And so yeah, I think, and listen, I give Steichen and this Colts team a lot of credit. They put him in a position to succeed. apparently didn't put Anthony Richardson in a position to succeed in any type of way. But I hope he's back on the field sooner than later. That sounded terrible, but yeah, Daniel Jones is. There's a lot of regression coming. I think the biggest worry, wouldn't you say, is just that Charger run defense. Just completely loses its shit every once in a while. Like they can't do anything. It's just get dominated. That's really the issue. I think if they can kind of keep Jones out of harm's way, because I think the Chargers defense is smartly schemed that where he's going to make some mistakes in this one if he has to throw. 48 total is like one of the higher of the week. So
yeah, I mean, but the Colts. Did you see the Colts last week without Ward and Moore?
Yeah.
Brissett, and the Cardinals had wide receiver injuries across the board. And this was not an electric passing attack. They moved the ball up and down. So I'm gonna trust Herbert against these backups, and then there's gonna be a couple mistakes, and then there might be one or two more missed kicks from the Colts. Chargers get it done. Where you going next?
All right, for my third pick and the 5th overall of the Week 7 Sunday 6-pack, I'm gonna roll with the New York Giants +7 at the Denver Broncos. And this, I know, is another disgusting
Giants,
pick.
Jets, and Saints.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler, Jackson Dart, and Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. Somehow the Jets still have the worst of the, like, I don't know, it's crazy. But okay, so I like the Broncos generally as a team, but this team I do not.
You keep fading the Broncos are the worst teams in the NFL, so you must not like them that much.
I guess I don't. I just gotta go with the money takes me, man. And this Broncos team is just not one that when I kind of model it out, it just can't get to these numbers that they're being given in the market. A -7. See if you could get a 7.5 even. I've seen it start to tick up that way. Because a lot of money's coming in on the Broncos. But this is a team that, their defense is great. Their defense is talented. Their offense is talented as well. But it's just very erratic, especially when you consider that, and maybe it's because of, Bo Nix doesn't make some of the typical like back-breaking quarterback mistakes. Like he doesn't have a super high turnover rate or sack rate or anything like that. But the Broncos just make their offense is not a smooth offense. And if you look at like early down success, even for the whole year, if you remove filter out garbage time and turnovers, just look at early down success, the Broncos are one of the worst teams in the league, and worse than the Giants in the past game, and that's including the Russell Wilson weeks with the Giants as well. So it's been like half and half at this point, 3 games each. So this Bronco offense, I think, is very mediocre, and we saw that against the Jets, where hold them to -10 passing yards and you win by 2 points. Now they're coming off a win. They're coming off a road game, international trip, and then now they're coming back home to where, they have a good home field advantage, but this Giant team has.
That was 3 straight games away from home.
Yeah,
now you're coming back, and then Giants have extended rest.
Extended rest. They're feeling confident, and I think naturally the market's going to get down on them for losing to the Saints, giving Spencer Rattler his first win. But with hindsight, now that we have more data, the loss to the Saints doesn't look quite as bad. Like it's still not ideal, but it doesn't look quite as bad because the Saints are starting to look like more of just like a mediocrely bad team, not a like sky is falling bad team, and they're trending up. So I think that the Giants, they beat the Chargers and they beat the Eagles, and then they lost to a Saints team that might actually be mediocre by the time it's all said and done. So +7 or the Broncos laying 7 here when they beat the Jets with -10 passing yards by 2 points on a neutral field is absurd to me. So even with the Broncos being back at home, I think it's a better spot for the Giants. I think the Giants it's advantage Giants because there's still only 3 weeks of tape on Dart. They've been doing some weird kind of things in the offense in that span, and they've had a while to prepare and kind of figure out how to navigate this Malik Neighbors absence a little better. Maybe you get Slayton back in this spot. Wan'Dale Robinson is their best receiver, and he doesn't figure to see Sutton as much as a team's top receiver would on most teams. So
Certain. That's
Sutton. Still thinking about that one catch. Gabe, let me say it again. Yeah, so Wandale Robinson is their top receiver, and he won't see as much of Patrick Surtain as most teams' number one receivers would because Wandale can just go to the slot anytime. So I think the Giants have a bunch of little small advantages in this spot, and 7 points for this Bo Nix offense that put up a struggle 13, and it pretty much didn't look much better than the Jets in that game last week. They just got a touchdown to a random tight end, which is what they do under Sean Payton. But I've noticed this all year. It's tough to quantify, but I know it's true because Sean Payton says it after every game. He's like, I just screwed up like, one or two or three play calls. And you look at this Broncos, it's not smooth right now. I don't think they're maximizing what they have, but they're veteran coaching staff and they'll get it done somehow. But it's just not a smooth operation. They're relying way too much on their defense. And I think that another thing that's important for the Giants, their pass rush here should be, better than it's been coming off rest. And Broncos had that Powers injury. And then on the other side,
because the Broncos O-line didn't look as good last week against the Jets, and the Giants have a much better. I mean, Abdul Carter's been like the best pass rushing linebacker in the NFL as a rookie so far.
And he's coming off the bye. So rookies off buys, they might, just say, hey, change it up with the usage, and he's out there even more. But on the other side, everyone's going to be worried about this Giant offense, rookie quarterback, fourth start on the road in Denver against the Broncos defense. Well, another low-key improving in addition to the Saints and Spencer Rattler, the Giants offensive line has looked a lot better over his past few games since Andrew Thomas came back. And that tends to be the case every single year, but they're getting contributions kind of across the board a little more solidly now. So we think of the Giants team as just this piss-poor offensive line, but you got a running quarterback, you got a better back than you've had in a while in Scadaboo, and you've got a better offensive line than you've had with Daniel Jones at any point, I think. So this Giant team, I just don't think they should be 7-point dogs against a shaky offense in itself in Denver. So give me the Giants, give me a 7. See if you can get 7.5, though, because I think it might tick that way depending on what happens throughout the week.
Yeah, I could only go Giants or nothing. It's a decent situational spot. I worry that the Broncos are so good against mobile quarterbacks. They don't really let them run at all because they have so much speed. But you can run on them a bit, like power runs. So that's what I think the Giants are going to have to lean on. And they don't have like a one anymore without Neighbors. So that kind of dampens the impact of having Surtain, who can just remove your number one. But yeah, I mean, if this, especially at 7.5, this closed at 7.5, that's where the Titans closed at week 1 with a rookie quarterback making his first ever start on the road. So the Giants are, I would say, a lot more competent than the Titans' entire operation. And this is a decent situational spot. So I don't blame you for this one. All right, for my third pick and the sixth and final overall, the Week 7 Sunday six-pack, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns -2.5 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Full disclosure, I haven't played this yet. I'm probably going to money line this with the Chiefs. I did this with the last week with the Chiefs and the Packers. Because should be a really low scoring game. Points at a premium. Like I could see this being like 17, 16, 7. But so like with points at a premium, I might buy a cheap money line or parlay would say the Chiefs money line. More on that Chiefs game later. But that's why I haven't put it in the app yet. I'm still just trying how to approach it. But I really do like the Browns to win this game. Here's what I think this comes down to. Number one, there should be weather. Looks like there's going to be rain. There could be some wind. Or there might be a lot of wind. There could be gusts of 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if that's the case, how do you attack this Browns defense, first of all? Number one, you can't at home. So for years, no one can move the ball on them when they're in Cleveland. When you do move the ball, most of the time this happens if you're playing at home, you have to hit explosive pass plays. I mean, I think Cleveland's 21st in that department this year. Well, the Dolphins are 24th, and they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, and there might be wind and weather, and they can't block. They have no offensive line. So good luck blocking this Cleveland defensive line at home, who seems to just dominate games no matter who they play. So in this, and then, Dylan Gabriel and wind. Oh, wow. Okay. That's not really going to impact things. He's not throwing the ball downfield, and he's not doing so accurately. This becomes a run game, I think, for both teams. Well, the Browns are third in rush success rate defense, Dolphins 22nd. Browns second in rush EPA defense, Dolphins 31st. Their run defense is pitiful. Well, in on passing downs, they just try to blitz and bring the house. Well, I mentioned this before. Gabriel, throughout his college career, was elite, was the best quarterback in college football for years against the blitz. So there is that. Browns do have some injuries worth noting. Njoku, but my guy Fannon's still there. Cam Robinson, their left tackle, he did practice today. No brace, no nothing. He should be good. I doubt Conklin plays at right tackle, but he hasn't been healthy. You probably stick Lucas back in there. Whatever. It's not going to be great, but you're going against this Dolphins team that's doing nothing right. Like this Dolphins team has no redeeming qualities. None. They like the offense. I mean, Tua leads the NFL in turnover worthy play percentages. No Tyreek Hill. I don't think you're able to hit explosive plays. The offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. The secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. They're blitzing at a top five rate, but they're getting pressure at a bottom five rate. What is to like? At least I have with the Browns a run game that should have more success against a bad run day, and the best unit on the field by far with their defense at home. Give me the Browns to get this done at home on a classic fall windy day in the land.
Oh yeah, I'll have more on this game. I totally agree with you on this Dolphin offense. It's just going to run into a wall in this spot. This is an ugly one. If you hadn't gone with Herbert, I mean, where would we be right now? Justin Fields, McCarthy or Wentz, Rattler, and Herbert, but then Jackson Dart in Denver, and closing it out with Dylan Gabriel. That's a six pack right there. That's a five pack at least. And then
Gabriel's bad, by the way. He's not going to be the guy, but they're just going to go. You can go run heavy in the spot.
He's better than Shador.
So you can just go completely. But I mean, this would be a huge Judkins game against a really bad run day. So
they're taking him out at the goal line. This team, I don't know what this team is doing, and they're somehow still going to probably beat the Dolphins by double digits. That tells you where the Dolphins are. But
by the way, my two survivors hit last week with I still have two left. Who did I use? I used the Chiefs and someone really bad.
Yeah,
that was. I used an underdog. Who did I use?
Oh my god! You used the Saints against the Giants the week before that. I think I remember. Right?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me check who I used. I used. The reason I bring this up, let's see. I used. Oh, the Raiders. That wasn't too terrible. And no, my high risk one. I used the. I used the Panthers and the Raiders. And
love it.
Another one that I'm with a friend, and I use the Chiefs. But the reason I bring that up, using this big pool, I'm using the Browns this week.
I knew you were gonna say either the Browns or the Jets. I was like, oh my god, I don't mind it. I don't know how they're gonna score either, but the Dolphins, I can't remember the last time a team looked like it was gonna be a disaster, and then actually it just played out exactly how we thought. Like usually it's like, like the market is it's so talked about that then they go and they go on a run and it happens later in the year. No, it's just a disaster from week one and it's still a disaster. And
yeah, we were talking about in our offseason pods, it could look at alts. They could end up with the worst record. That's still in the cards.
Yeah, I think I have a bet on that. I bet them to have the worst record when we talked about it. I'm hoping that the Browns beat them because that would go a long way. But it's just
and then you might get some quit. McDaniel fired, which I don't think is going to help anything. It's just going to.
It might because, bro, I
think he's checked out. I think
they can't like him, and they can't like him. I don't like him anymore. Watching him talk, which is
he's also just zoned out on the sideline. He's not engaged anymore. He looks like he's just high, like he just ate a bunch of weed gummies and he's just going through
This is what happens when they legalize that shit. Because I try to tell people you can't just treat it just because it's I think he's one of those victims of that shit. Because you're right, he's always vaping on the sidelines and his team is just going up in fucking flames. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our Week 7 Sunday 6-pack. If you'd like to tail some of these picks, just look for the quick slip link down below in the podcast video description. And Be sure to sign up to Action Pro for instant notification when all our bets are tracked.